Okay, this is my take on the live workout, the open workout for Usyk Joshua 2. I didn't actually see Usyk work out. Did he work out at all? I can't seem to find a video on it. But I did see AJ working out. Now, I know we shouldn't read too much into these open workouts, particularly when you're dealing with a couple of vets. And AJ and Usyk are vets at this stage. And Eddie Hearn was talking about the fact that a lot of these workouts, that the fighters are just not really doing much. And therefore, he was asking the audience, do you think we should continue doing these public workouts? Because it's a little bit pointless. But it's not really about whether they're going to do a proper workout for a lot of the people that turn up. It's more about being able to see the fighter in person, because a lot of the people that go to these public workouts are not going to go to the fight. They're probably going to watch it on television. So they just want to see the fighter in real life. And in many instances, the fans get to meet the fighter, get their autograph and all that kind of thing. So it's part of the promotion. I don't necessarily think the fighters need to go all out in the public workout in order for the public workout to serve its purpose. In any event, AJ didn't put that much effort into this workout. He was just pushing his hands out there. The punches weren't very sharp for the most part. And he looked a little robotic and disjointed. Now, he's always looked a little robotic, but he hasn't normally looked as disjointed as this. There seemed to be a kind of a disconnect between what his arms were doing and what his legs were doing to me. But again, maybe that's just because he wasn't putting any effort in and he was just going through the motions and didn't intend to throw any serious punches. Make of that what you will. But that was my take on it. Now, stylistically and tactically, it's going to be interesting to see what AJ does here. Some people are saying he needs to bum rush Alexander Usyk like Derek Chisora did. I don't think he needs to do that. I think that would be a huge gamble that would have a very high chance of backfiring, and backfiring early too. Maybe he lands a big shot if he does that and takes Usyk out. There's also a chance that he walks onto something big and gets taken out early himself. So I don't think that's the most sensible approach. I think he needs to apply educated pressure, but pressure is what he needs to apply. If he allows Usyk free reign and just stands in the middle of the ring, I don't think that's conducive to success. I think he has to keep this guy under constant pressure, try and walk him to the ropes, try and get him in situations where his options for escape are limited, and then start throwing shots. Mikey Garcia, who is, of course, the brother of AJ's new trainer, Robert Garcia, he did this very well. If you go back and watch his fight against Adrian Broner, Garcia is not a volume puncher. He doesn't throw a lot of shots. But what he does is stalk you behind a high guard, applies pressure with his feet, and he maneuvers you into situations where he has you trapped, and then he'll unload with very fast combinations. That's what Mikey Garcia used to like to do. Also would work behind a nice, educated, stiff jab. In the first AJ Usyk fight, AJ was pouring a lot with the jab. And that's normal against the southpaw. A lot of the times, orthodox fighters struggle to land their jabs against southpaws because the two lead hands cancel each other out. And because southpaws are more used to fighting orthodox fighters than orthodox fighters are used to fighting southpaws, the southpaw usually gets the better of the jabbing contest in most instances. And that was the case in the first fight with AJ and Usyk. But if you know what you're doing, and if you're not trying to compete with the southpaw in terms of the volume of jabs, then you can get your jab off, particularly against a guy like Usyk, who isn't the most side-on southpaw you've ever seen. And that's another thing I want to talk about, actually. Excuse me. Is the fact that some southpaws, or a lot of southpaws, fight very side-on because they don't want to give you much of a target to aim at. They want to make themselves, thin or small, and when you're looking at them head on, you're going to not see much to hit. So a lot of southpaws fight like that. Guillermo Rigondeaux, I'm just picking some random examples. Billy Joe Saunders, very, very side-on. With Alexander Usyk, he's not that side-on. He's actually a bit more square than most southpaws in terms of his shoulders. He puts his hands up and he fights kind of square a lot of the time. And it works for him, obviously. He's moving his head and he's getting shots off with both hands. But I think it leaves him more vulnerable to certain punches. I suspect the left uppercut, if AJ focuses on throwing that shot, could be successful for him against Alexander Usyk. When Usyk squares up a bit and tries to throw his own left hand, I think AJ's left uppercut could be a shot that he has success with. The left hook as well, when thrown as a counter. And the right uppercut, potentially as well. Certainly the right hand to the body. These are all shots AJ could utilize and could have success with. And, you know, AJ never got the opportunity, really, to let go with those fast hooks and uppercuts that he's known for, that he's famous for. The kind of shots we saw when he dropped Andy Ruiz. Now, obviously, he got clipped, you know, in that scenario. After he dropped Ruiz, he went steaming in and started letting go with the fast hooks and uppercuts. But he shouldn't allow that to deter him from throwing those kind of shots ever again. You just have to be a bit more careful and a bit more selective about when you let your hands go like that. So against a southpaw, again, it can be a bit awkward because the body positioning of a southpaw isn't as sympathetic to throwing those kind of shots from an orthodox position. But if you manage to back a guy to the ropes, you know, a southpaw against the ropes a lot of the time isn't as side-on, and Usyk is already not the most side-on southpaw, kind of square. He's slightly square to begin with. You back him up to the ropes, you can get him completely square. And in those situations, you can get off maybe 2-3 real fast hooks with an uppercut thrown in. So, yeah, I think it's interesting to speculate, which is what I'm doing now, about how AJ might approach it stylistically. But my best guess is that it will be something similar to what Mikey Garcia used to do in his prime. Not going out there throwing loads of punches, but just trying to apply pressure with his feet, back Usyk up to the ropes and in the corners, and then unloading with a fast burst of shots, and also countering. So even when AJ's coming in and he's trying to maneuver Usyk to the ropes, but he hasn't got him there yet, if Usyk throws a shot, AJ may well have certain counters drilled into him, where if Usyk throws this, I'm going to throw this back immediately. This real hard shot. You know, and it might not be targeting Usyk's head. Maybe he's going to target Usyk's body or his shoulders or whatever with a real hard shot, which isn't just designed to break his body down, but it's also designed to intimidate him. Do you know what I mean? Because if you catch a guy in the chest hard enough, after he throws whatever, a right hand or a left hand, whatever, you catch him hard enough, that can be enough sometimes to actually make him hesitant about throwing the shot again. Because he's thinking, wow, I mean, that shot hurt in my chest. I don't even want to imagine what it's going to be like hitting me in the head. I mean, it probably won't hurt. I'll probably be snoozing on the canvas. So, yeah, I think that's probably going to be the approach that we see. Whether it works or not remains to be seen. I suspect that AJ at some point will have to take the bull by the horns. This is what I said in the run-up to the first Usyk fight, that at some stage, if AJ wants to win, he's going to have to let rip. You can't just try and finesse Usyk for the 12 rounds, and you can't be too patient, because the Mikey Garcia style is a relatively patient style. Yeah? Not a high-volume style. At some stage, AJ might have to actually just go high volume for certain periods of the fight. Maybe late on in the fight if he's losing. And again, that jab, the educated jab, will also be key, because that's how you're going to stabilize Usyk and help get him into those positions where he's maybe back to the ropes or in a corner. You see, when you're in the middle of the ring, you can go backwards. You can spin off to the side, left, right, back, different angles. But when you're on the ropes, well, there's only left or right that you can go. And a well-timed hook either side can catch you as you're trying to move out. Even if it's not to the head, as I say, it could be to the body. So that's my thoughts on the workout. You know, I'm watching the workout thinking about what is he going to do in the fight. I was really watching Robert Garcia. I'm really interested more in what Robert Garcia had to say than Angel Fernandez. So let me know what you guys thought in the comments below.